You're watching a Highwire Media podcast.
Hello, Cowboy fans, and welcome to another episode of the Big D Breakdown. Your home for all things Dallas Cowboys. Before we do that, give us your thoughts on all the topics we cover in the comments section below. And with that, let's dive right into today's first topic. Brian Schottenheimer's got a plan that's quietly fueling a Cowboys breakout that nobody saw coming. The Dallas Cowboys did not look great in their joint practice with the LA Rams. While that wasn't by design, Brian Schottenheimer clarified on Wednesday that the defense only played 2 coverages and that he didn't dive deep into the offensive playbook. There are a lot of things to clean up, but there was also a lot of positives. Joe Milton connected with Jalen Brooks for a long touchdown. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens had their way with the Rams secondary. However, it was none other than Kevontae Turpin who emerged the biggest winner from the scrimmage. Turpin was among the most active players on Dallas's offense, which tracks with everything we've seen from him throughout training camp. Schottenheimer was very complimentary of Turpin afterwards, saying, quote, "The guy is just a dynamic weapon. The things he can do, running and catching, and the quickness and agility that he has is just different. I think we feel like we got a much better sense for how we're using him. Late in practice, we kind of moved CeeDee Lamb outside and Turp went inside. Those guys are a little bit interchangeable. I think he's going to have a fabulous year. I really do, in every facet." Turpin has been making plays in Oxnard regardless of who's under center. On Tuesday, he caught passes from third-string quarterback Will Grier after backup Joe Milton suffered a thumb injury and was removed from practice for precautionary reasons. While Tolbert or Jonathan Mingo will get listed as the number 3 receiver on the depth chart, Turpin's usage in camp hints he'll be the 3rd most targeted receiver on the depth chart behind Lamb and Pickens. If he doesn't finish 3rd in targets, he may finish 3rd in touches. The 29-year-old has been targeted plenty as a receiver, but he's also taking far more handoffs under Schottenheimer than he did under Mike McCarthy. Turpin had just 47 touches last season, 31 catches, 16 carries. While that was a career high, it was still far too low for an offense desperate for explosive plays beyond CeeDee Lamb. Turpin is on track to blow past that number in 2025 and could emerge as one of the NFL's true breakout players. So let me know your thoughts on Turpin and how do you see him performing this season? And now on to our next topic. The Cowboys trading Micah Parsons could give him their Dak Prescott replacement. So the question, of course, is should the Dallas Cowboys actually explore trading Micah Parsons? The Dallas Cowboys have an interesting situation on their hands with Micah Parsons. Should they trade him for long-term stability? Unless you've been living under a rock, you know the Cowboys have a tough situation on their hands with their best player. It is truly Jerry Jones' fault, as 30 other NFL teams would not have messed around and would have taken care of their best player. It seems like both Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones are not going to budge, which makes it very possible that Parsons could miss games. Anyways, when you think about the long-term stability of the Cowboys and the potential to find a high-end replacement for Prescott, the idea of trading Micah Parsons may actually make a ton of sense. Many have likened a potential Micah Parsons trade to what the Bears gave up to acquire Khalil Mack from the Raiders back in 2018. The main chunk of that deal centered around 2 first-round picks. Well, with Parsons being a bit younger than Mack was at the time and likely being a better player than Khalil Mack, you have to wonder if the Cowboys front office could get a bit more than 2 first-round picks. Dallas would likely get 2 firsts in the 2026 and 2027 NFL draft, on top of more capital and perhaps even a starting caliber player. And while we might be getting ahead of ourselves a bit, the quarterback class in the 2026 NFL draft is projected to be quite deep. So the Cowboys could go into next April's draft with multiple first-round picks and all the motivation in the world to make a massive trade up to the board to secure a long-term replacement for Dak Prescott, who has been good but not great for the franchise. Let's make one thing clear. The Cowboys' future is undoubtedly brighter with Parsons terrorizing offenses off the edge and Prescott throwing spirals to CeeDee Lamb. However, if there is one potential silver lining to moving Parsons, it's that the long-term stability that could come with it. So, let me know. Would you trade Parsons away, or should a deal be done with Jones? Because if he gets traded away, it's completely Jones's fault for not making a deal, because this is starting to get really annoying and ridiculous, the way Jerry Jones acts with all his star players. But that's really just my opinion. But there's also a blueprint that the Cowboys should follow if they decide to trade Micah Parsons. As we all know, Micah Parsons officially requested a trade, and the Cowboys would be incredibly foolish to even think about it. Parsons is arguably the best defender in the NFL and is just 26 years old, without a lot of wear and tear, after sitting out the 2020 season due to COVID, on his body. They have the league's best defense with him on the field, and the second worst when he's off it. But what if the Cowboys come to the conclusion that they need to trade Parsons? What if Parsons is serious with his trade request and never wants to play for the Cowboys again? How would they even go about a potential trade, and what would that deal even look like for the Cowboys? Let's assume the Cowboys have made the wrong decision to move Parsons via trade. The first thing we have to assume is that they want to move him out of the NFC. The last thing they want to do is face Parsons each year, and there is almost no scenario in which they would trade him inside the division. If an NFC team offered 3 first-round picks compared to just 2 by an AFC team, the front office would obviously have to consider that. But assuming the trade offers are even somewhat close, you would have to assume Dallas would want to move him to an AFC squad. Now that it is out of the way, the Cowboys would be wise to search for a trade partner that could potentially select inside the top 15 over the next few years. The only way the Cowboys would trade Parsons is if they could acquire multiple first-round picks. So it's critical that they find a trade partner where they could potentially pick inside the top half of the draft. Trading Parsons to teams like the Ravens, Chiefs, and Bills doesn't make sense, as all 3 of those teams have won double-digit games in each of the past 3 seasons. Adding Parsons to their defense would ensure that they would pick in the late 20s and early 30s, which would decrease the trade compensation for Dallas. Even other contenders like the Broncos and Chargers would be locks to win 10-plus games with Parsons in their respective lineups. But that's the tricky part here. If the Cowboys were to trade Parsons, whichever team acquires him will instantly improve on defense and thus raise its ceilings. But there are a few teams in tough divisions who still wouldn't be sure bets to make the playoffs. Teams like the Raiders, Colts, Patriots, and Jets would all significantly improve with Parsons, but still could have a tough time making the postseason. Those 4 teams are examples of whom the Cowboys would want to trade with in this hypothetical scenario. Dallas could also ask for young players back in a trade, but draft picks would be the safer option here. The Cowboys aren't going to be better in 2025 or even 2026 without Parsons, so acquiring draft capital to start their defensive rebuild would be the wise way to go. If the team wants to move Parsons, the wise decision would be to pay their offensive stars, George Pickens and Tyler Smith, and use the excess draft capital over the next 2 seasons to rebuild the defense. The money they have saved for Parsons could be used to stabilize the offense, and the defense would quickly be among the cheapest in the league. This is obviously far from the best case scenario for the Cowboys, and it makes sense for both parties to get a deal done. But if the Cowboys ultimately decide to take this path, expect them to follow this blueprint to get a deal done. Excuse me. The Dallas Cowboys are expected to receive a significant contribution from a mid-round rookie this season. The Dallas Cowboys currently have a lot going on, but when don't they ever? Regardless of all the noise, the team is currently in training camp, preparing for what they hope is a really great season. One reason 2025 should be much better than last year It's because of some exciting new additions. From veterans to rookies, Dallas has several new guys who should play key roles this year. One of those guys is rookie running back Jaden Blue. Despite being selected in the fifth round of the 2025 draft, Blue is expected to be a contributor, or a big contributor, I should say, in his first year. Chris Trapasso recently detailed why in a CBS Sports piece, highlighting 5-day 3 rookies who are set up for instant success with their respective teams. For Blue, he explained how the rookie running back's exciting speed will set him up to get carries on a backfield that entered the offseason really thin. Saying, quote, "It's rare that a 5th-round pick at running back enters a team with a clear path to carries in year 1. And while he's not a super bouncy, well-rounded back, Blue does possess 4.38 speed at close to 200 pounds. He fits right into a niche for the Cowboys as the club's big play specialist on the ground." Excuse me. As Chris highlighted, veteran Javonte Williams, who was signed this offseason, is in line to be the number 1 back and the top ball carrier in Dallas. After him, Miles Sanders, who also signed with the team this offseason, is penciled in as a second-string running back. Then it's Blue, who's currently number 3 on the depth chart. However, not only is the depth chart a work in progress this early in camp, running back depth charts aren't as important as other positions, because at least 3 guys will usually get carries, and without an established star, teams will ride the hot hand. Furthermore, Sanders has missed the last handful of practices with a knee injury. That has afforded Blue more reps with the starters, and he has looked like the team's most explosive runner. Blue could very well emerge as the hot hand early in his rookie season and become an impact player for the Cowboys offense. So let me know in the comments section below, who would you start as our number 1 running back? And with that, we're going to take a look at 3 overlooked Cowboys who are set to explode onto the scene during preseason action. It's hard to believe, but the Dallas Cowboys will play a preseason game this weekend against the LA Rams. While we don't expect many of the starters to see the field, there are a number of players on both sides of the ball who should stand out. With that in mind, here are 3 overlooked Cowboys that should have strong preseason performances. Right off the bat, we got Nathan Thomas, left tackle. The 7th-round pick from Louisiana will get the first crack at replacing Tyler Guyton, who is set to miss the next 4 to 6 weeks with a bone fracture and a knee sprain. Dallas originally drafted Thomas to be a guard, but he has since moved back to his college position at left tackle. Thomas doesn't have quick feet, but he is incredibly strong and fits Clayton Adams' run scheme well. Can he hold up well enough on the edge to be a legitimate option for week 1? Or will the Cowboys need to put that much smaller Asim Richards back out at tackle? Time will tell, but this is a big opportunity for Thomas to show the coaching staff can trust him in a starting role moving forward. And then number 2, we got Phil Maffa, running back. We probably won't see much of Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders in the preseason, but that opens up more snaps for Jaden Blue and Phil Maffa. Blue has had a strong start in camp and figures to be a factor in the offense. But Phil is fighting for a spot on the 53-man roster. He is a talented runner, but he needs to prove that his lack of speed won't be a concern against NFL defenses. The preseason should be where Phil shines, as he is a no-nonsense runner and excels at breaking tackles. It's hard to show that in practice, even when the pads come on. But expect Maffa to get a lot of work and hopefully prove that he deserves to be part of the running back rotation moving forward. And then, number 3, Perrion Winfrey at defensive tackle. One of the most concerning positions on the roster for the Cowboys is at defensive tackle. Mozzie Smith has had an up-and-down camp as he tries to adjust to a new defense, which prioritizes quickness and ability to get up the field. Solomon Thomas has been part of the rotation, but the Cowboys desperately need another defensive tackle to step up and help out in the run game. Keep an eye on Perrion Winfrey during the preseason, as he has flashed during the training camp practices. Coming from the UFL, Winfrey was one of the top defensive players in the league and has all the physical traits to be a starter in the NFL. But he needs to prove that he is worthy of a spot on the 53-man roster, and he should see plenty of action in the preseason. With a strong performance over the next 3 weeks, it wouldn't be a surprise to see him as part of the defensive line rotation, as he has the size and length to play both defensive tackle spots in Matt Eberflus's defense. Winfrey has an excellent opportunity to resurrect his career and play meaningful snaps for the Cowboys this season. And that is our topics for this week. Let me know your thoughts on everything we've covered in the comments section below. And of course, if you want to support the channel, you can buy us a coffee by scanning the QR code. Anything you give, whether it's $1, $5, $20, $50, $100, heck, if you're rich, $1,000, goes right back into this channel so we can upgrade our equipment, bring in new hosts, be able to pay them, because I think those who offer up their time to be on this show should get paid. And of course, take this show on the road. We'd love to do episodes from whether inside AT&T Stadium or outside at Texas Live. We'd also love to do shows on at away games, and your support can help make that happen. Because I believe one day we will be able to stream from anywhere. But if you can't financially support us, consider giving us a thumbs up on our videos, hit that subscribe button down below, and hit that bell notification button to be notified of future videos. And also consider sharing this video with your friends and family, and show them why you're a Dallas Cowboys fan. And with that, I want to thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.